All right, so we're going to go over just some basic navigation and selections using Rhino. So if you open up this file, it's lesson 301 introduction. As soon as you open it, you'll see something like this. I'm going to, right now it's currently in wireframe mode. I'm going to switch this over to shaded mode by clicking over here on the word perspective, this little down button. Click on shaded, just so I can see this a little bit better. Okay, so one way to begin to navigate in perspective mode, just following these, the text over here. So to orbit, it's just with the right mouse button. So again, just clicking down and holding the right mouse button, I can begin to orbit around here. The icon for orbiting is this icon right here. But again, just using the shortcut of the right mouse button. The hand tool, if you're in perspective mode, if you hold down shift and the right mouse button, it brings up the hand tool. Again, the hand tool is also right here. And to zoom, just using your scroll wheel on your mouse, you can zoom in and out. Again, if you want to zoom in and out, clicking on the icon, there's the zoom icon right there. I'm going to switch over to my top view. I'm going to double click on the word perspective. And when I do, I can see 4 views. I'm going to double click on the word top. So now I'm in just looking at this in top view. I can always go back to my previous view just by double clicking, right? But I wanted to make sure that I'm in top view, so I'm going to double click word perspective, double click the word top. And I'm seeing this again in wireframe, so I want to make sure I'm at least in shaded. If you prefer different versions, you can go to rendered mode or ghosted. But I'm going to stay in shaded mode. So different ways to navigate. So when you're not in your perspective mode and you're in your top view or your front view or your right view or left view or your back view, the way to navigate is if you, with the right mouse button, it automatically brings up the hand tool. So you can start to navigate that way. And to zoom, you can navigate by using the scroll wheel. So basic selection, right? So if I just click on any one of these, just do like a single click on any one of these objects, it automatically selects it, and I know that it's selected because it's highlighted in yellow, right? If I try to select a separate object, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. If I try to select a separate object, it deselects the first object, right? It only allows me to select one object at a time. If I want to select multiple objects, so essentially I want to add to my selection, I have to hold down the shift key and and click with my mouse. So right now I'm holding down the shift key and I'm able to select multiple objects. And I just clicked somewhere on the screen just to deselect them. While you're selecting them, if you accidentally select something you don't want to select and you want to subtract from your selection, just hold down the control key. So as an example, I'll click a few of these, just do a single click, holding down the shift key. And if I don't want to, say for example, I selected too many of these, if I hold down the control key and click on something I've selected, it deselects it. So again, just basic selections. Another thing to be aware of when you're selecting is something that's called the selection window. And to highlight this example, I'm going to zoom in on this area right in here where these objects are touching. So sometimes objects are very close to each other, and I'm going to make sure I click right along this edge. Just do a single click right along this edge. And because these objects are so close to each other, the software does not know which item I'm actually selecting, so it gives me the option. All right, so a little selection window pops up, and I can just highlight which one I want selected, and it selects it. Again, the same thing happens here, where these objects are so close to each other that when I do a single click, I get the selection menu, and again, it's asking me which one of the two do I want to select. And then just select which one that in the pop-up menu. And just to explain, when you want to make larger selections, so I'm going to do a single click on my mouse, and I'm going to hold the mouse button down with the left mouse button, and I'm going to move the mouse to the left, and I can see that I see a rectangle that is dashed, and if I move it to the right, I can see a rectangle that is solid. So the difference between the two. So if I try to select something that with the dash line, I only have to select a portion of that object and it automatically selects it. So anything that is inside a dashed line, it will automatically select. If I try to select something with a solid line, the object has to be inside of that solid rectangle in order for it to be selected. So in this case, I'm only going to select those two smaller objects because those objects were inside the rectangle. So again, it can be really useful knowing the difference between the dash line to select objects. Again, the dash line, you only need to be select part of the object, versus the solid line where the entire object must be inside in order for it to be selected.